Welcome to Quantum Command Radio, where we talk about all things quantum. You can visit our website at www.quantumcommand.net or subscribe by clicking the subscribe button and hit that bell button for the latest and greatest within the quantum realm. Together, we will discuss topics related to quantum command, wellness, and explore all the new discoveries within this work. And now, let's go quantum. Hey guys, okay, Natalie Morris with Quantum Command, and I got something on my mind again. So, let me tell you about why you're still sick. And this is going to be really, sorry about the noise in the background. It's raining, I'm in my car, because it seems like I talk best when I'm in my car by myself. It's quiet. So you're going to hear the windshield wipers, probably. Here is why, after your first appointment with me, you are still sick. There are two types of people that come across my desk or that I work with. Excuse me, hang on a second. Okay. There are two types of people that come my way. There are people that have layered technology. Okay, those are the people that have what I call the suite of technology, S-U-I-T-E, suite of technology, that is extremely layered and very difficult to discover. It's literally a discovery on a live stream. We're literally discovering all of the layered technology right now. It is a continuous live stream of events. And people that are layered technology, like I am layered technology, I have many clients that are layered technology. They understand that getting well is a long game. They will see the needle move for their symptoms. Some of them will not see the needle move for their symptoms. Most of them will see something change, where they'll have, like, for example, they'll have a bunch of symptoms, symptom groups, different diagnoses, and like 2 out of 3 of those issues will resolve themselves. They'll heal over time. All right. So, but they won't get fully well until I find all of the technology that exists in the body presently. And people are layered differently. Look, this is not a comfortable conclusion that I came to. This is not like, one day I figured out there's layered technology in the body. Holy smokes. Well, no, I thought in the very beginning of this work, I thought I found MFI. That's a big deal. People are getting well. They're feeling a ton better. I was getting a ton of success early in the game by using this work to remove MFI out of the body. And I was seeing like amazing results. And I'm thinking, this is it. Man, this is it. It's just MFI and some pathogens along the way, and we're going to get rid of everything, and it's going to be smooth sailing, and I'm going to move on with my life. And for the most part, I thought it was going to be Lyme disease people, right? People that had Lyme were the type of people that typically had the layered technology pieces. That had MFI, and I didn't know about layered technology at the time. So they had MFI, and I'm thinking, all right, well, this is why Lyme disease is perpetuating. It's because MFI is really the controller of all this other technology in the body, and the weaponized genetic material. That's what Borrelia is. All of those Lyme disease pathogens are weaponized DNA, which is a whole totally different discussion. We're not going to do that today, but I thought just getting MFI out was enough. And yeah, MFI is a quantum thing, a quantum pathogen, however you want to describe it. It was bending light. Yep, that's man-made. Indicates a human fingerprint. So we're just going to use this work, get rid of it, and move on. And I saw a ton of success in my own life, in my kids' life. All of my kids' symptoms basically went to zero. I saw my friends start to get well gradually over time, which was mainly who I was working with. I was taking some clients at the time. But yeah, I was seeing some good results. It was like a total win. And then I realized that that's not all there is in the quantum ecosystem of pathogens and toxins. There was more. And so I began to work with this group of people who would wax and wane symptom-wise based on whether or not I took what I discovered, what I figured out to be grids down. When I took a grid down, they would get relief for like 3 days. At first it was like 3 days. And they were like, whoa, these symptoms completely vanished overnight. And then 3 days later, it's like a switch turned on and their symptoms started to come back online. And we're scratching our heads going, what is going on? And then I'd look in the body and lo and behold, I'd find another piece of technology and then I'd take that out of the body. Okay, now we got it this time. And we were constantly doing that. Breadcrumbs in the forest is what it felt like. Okay, we're really close. This is going to be it. Because the targeted folks would see the symptoms resolve after a grid went down. And then a couple of days later, they would tank or they could feel a switch turn on. Like they could feel it. They were looking for a resolution of the symptoms. They were getting it. And then all of a sudden something turned on and the symptoms would come back on. In fact, I had a woman who was type 1 diabetes. She is insulin dependent. And when I took a piece of technology down, and she's been on insulin since she was 10. So we're talking about daily insulin dependent. I took a piece of technology down, and for the first time in her life, she went a full day without insulin. Literally did not need insulin for the entire day. Then that night, something switched, turned on, and she needed insulin again. That is impossible. That is impossible. When you are insulin dependent, it is impossible to create a cessation of symptoms for that when you're doing nothing. Right? And all I was doing was this work. All I was doing was finding grids and removing technology. She's not on any kind of protocol. She wasn't trying to cure her diabetes. We were just trying to get her well, essentially, to where she could function. There was no expectation of trying to get her off of her insulin, although I had that expectation. I wanted her, to be able to get her off insulin, but certainly you can't make that a goal set if it's, if you don't know how to do it. So I was hoping I'd be a blind squirrel finding a nut from time to time, and that maybe we would discover what the cause of it was. But up until that point, we hadn't discovered anything. So when she had a full day where she needed no insulin, she knew something was a big deal. So that night, she called me, and her sugars blew up, and everything changed. And she said, "This is weird. This has never happened before." And the same thing happened with the group of layered technology people. After I would work on them, they would get a cessation of symptoms that were impossible to remove, and then they would start back up again all together, all at the same time. And I would get texts on my phone. What did you do? Did you do something? I felt great for 24 hours. Now I'm feeling like I'm tanking again. I don't understand. And that pattern is what we saw throughout a year and a half, 2 years, once I discovered layered technology. And then I figured out, okay, this is layered technology. I don't understand what this means, but clearly there is a layering going on where I'd remove a piece of technology, and whatever technology was remaining in the body would bring those symptoms back up and reestablish the connection with the genetic material, manipulate it, suppress it, overexpress it, whatever it had to do in order to maintain those symptoms. It's kind of like on a computer, you have a virus, but then if you get rid of that virus, you got a backup virus, and you got a backup virus, and you got backup. You just got all these like backup viruses that continue to activate even after you get the original one removed. That's kind of what it's like in the body with technology. So that is a type of client that comes my way. People that have the suite of technology that's been integrated as a full system, as a full networked grid system, and it's grid after grid after grid. These things are like a spider web of technologies and different grids that are interrelated and are interconnected and are interdependent on one another. So as I would remove these technology grids, you would see other grids kind of fail because they're interdependent. Just like on your computer, your mouse is interdependent with, the little USB thing you put in the USB port. It's interdependent. If you remove the little mouse thingy that goes into the USB port, the wireless, controller, the mouse doesn't work. And then you got to, go to plan B, which is using the little, pad on your computer. So things become more inconvenient. It's harder to work on the system or whatever. The same thing happens when you remove a grid. All of these systems are interdependent. So sometimes you would get a retaliation because the equipment's not working right. All the digital and quantum interfacing in the body is interrelated with one another. So you would have consequences. Sometimes symptoms would get worse. Sometimes they would get better and be removed permanently when I took a grid down. And again, that's where the feedback from the layered technology people would come into play. It's really important. I know I'm kind of going off a rabbit trail just, describing this because this is one type of client that I get, but I want you to understand what can happen if you're, I would say you're a targeted individual, but you're targeted in a variety of ways. You don't necessarily have like street theater and that kind of stuff going on, but you're technologically targeted. But that's like a hidden thing. You wouldn't know it unless you had somebody looking in your body telling you, oh yeah, you got layered technology, or oh no, you do not have layered technology. But I didn't know I had layered technology. It was just like, again, blind squirrel finding a nut. This technology would come online as I began to remove it out of my own body or other clients. And I'm thinking, oh, we're done here. This is, after about 6 or 7 technologies in, I'm like, certainly they can't have infinite amount of technologies in the body, which they don't. They're not infinite. But it has definitely been a very hard, hard walk, I guess, for those folks. Once I realized there was layered technology, it changed my understanding of why they were reacting like they were reacting. So that's one type of client that comes across my desk. Those types of folks tend to be in the long game. Once they understand they have layered technology, they go, okay, so I'm probably not going to need a scan every week because this is completely dependent on getting the technology out of my body over time, and that is basically inside baseball stuff that happens on a daily basis. So I've got all this stuff going on during the day where every day I'm checking the body for technology, I'm looking for it, I'm coming up with creative ways to ask the body about it. I'm learning about what prior technologies did. That is absolutely part of like my daily journey. There's no vacation from that. So those clients know they schedule maybe once a month or once every couple weeks, probably not even that long. The ones that are functional, there are some folks that are gaining functionality with the removal of the technology. So they're gaining some function and don't need scans as often, but they understand the process. They understand that on a daily basis. They might, or on a weekly basis anyway, they might see the needle move a little weirdly throughout the week because the grid's going down. The really, really, really sick people are tied to that last grid likely. It's likely what's going on there. So that's one type of client. Then there's the type of client who has a one-off. Like they were injected through, it's a word that I can't say on YouTube or else I'll get my channel banned, or which it's not monetized or anything yet, but the VACCINE word, that injectant that they do, or at birth or around that time or age 5. So from this point forward, we're just going to use the word injectant instead of the V word. So there's other types of clients that will get injectants throughout their life that will give them stuff that makes them sick, like black goo, which is a whole nother podcast I hope to do at some point. Black goo, what else? You get human DNA, quantumized human DNA, which is another discussion. But what are other things that people get? People will get tick bites, and they'll get a bunch of pathogens. There's just a variety of ways to kind of get technological one-offs, where you remove that one thing from the body using the quantum release, that gets removed from the body, and they can get well, and they can get well pretty fast. I had a woman who had black goo. She was literally bedridden. And within 3 weeks, I think she said she was 100%. I mean, I'm not paying her for her testimony. She's just said to me, I'm at 100%. She was so convinced that she had her son follow up with me and do an appointment with me. So that's, these one-offs, you have the ability to get rid of them very quickly and move on with your life and get well, because you don't have layered technology. You have like one injectant at age 5, put human DNA in the body, created a weaponized operating system in the body that competes with your operating system, which is your own genetic material, and made you sick for your entire life, which is completely what I see all the time. Black goo is another thing. Black goo is also a type of genetic material. It's merged with AI, and I hope to do a podcast on that at some point. And so you've got different genetic materials being injected in the body through these injectants, through the medical system that's weaponized. The medical system's been weaponized. That's what they do. This is a weaponized system. So that's a piece of that puzzle, is having a one-off. And one-offs tend to get better faster than folks that have layered technology. But there's one thing that screws the whole system up, whether or not you are layered technology or whether or not you're a one-off. And that is your supplements. Now, most people listening to this are not going to believe me, because they're going to be like, wait a minute, I paid $85 for that vitamin C, and my chiropractor recommended that vitamin C to me, and he's a good person, and he would not steer me wrong. Let me tell you, the next, however long we talk about this, however long this takes, I'm not trying to marginalize your practitioners that you are using, but I can tell you that 95% of the reason, 95% of the time, people do not recover from one-off type situations is because they are taking supplements that are making them extremely sick. The second part of my job, besides installing the quantum release and explaining to people kind of what was in their body, is literally supplement testing, which is a little bit like, when I was living, I had a roommate. I was living with a gal at her house, and we were roommates, and she didn't have a dishwasher, so we'd hand wash the dishes, and I'd wash dishes all day, but please don't ask me to wash the silverware. Oh my gosh, just sit there and do the mundane task of washing silverware. I'd really pretty much do anything. That's what it's like supplement testing is like for me. I will do it. It's not my favorite thing to do, but it reveals so much about what is going on in that person's body, because those supplements 99% of the time are garbage. And I'm telling you, I am seeing people with contaminants of mercury, aluminum, lead, cadmium, a lot of palladium-oriented supplements, Teflon, glyphosate. I tested a moringa powder in the last month. I've tested it twice. Organic USDA moringa powder. I don't even know why people are taking it, because I'm not in that loop. I'm in the quantum loop. I'm not in the supplement loop. And it had glyphosate in it, and it was making people so sick. They were so sick because they were ingesting glyphosate-coated herbs, powder. It was terrible. And I can tell you, if we went into your supplement, which is probably large, right? Your supplement cabinet. I mean, how many supplements do all of us have? I could guarantee you that about 90% of them are going to be garbage. Unless you found a really good brand and you had stuck with that brand for a really long time and you got lucky and it was a clean brand. Most of the time, follow-ups, complaints of I'm not feeling, besides the quantum technology, the layered technology, that's different, because you're going to have challenges with getting well faster when you have layered technology. So just remove that, group of challenges off the table. Barring that, most of the time when people come to me and they are still sick and they're not recovering at all, it's because they're taking supplements that are poisoning them. And this was not something I was looking for either when I was starting to do this work, but I kind of accidentally stumbled upon this situation because I had a friend who was I don't know, starting a line of homemade, I don't know, it wasn't homemade, but they were basically like makeup products and, I don't know, skin products and stuff. And I was discovering that they had hormone disruptors in them. They were really toxic to the body. And if I used them, I would get really, really sick. And I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense. This is supposed to be all natural. This is supposed to be organic. And yet when I stopped using them, I'd feel better. So I'm like, shoot, well, maybe we need to start testing people's supplements and their personal products. So I started doing that. And I found that if people just stopped using some of their products, they would feel better. I didn't see that coming. I just thought that everything was safe, right? Like it's all supposed to be safe. Clearly not safe necessarily. So people are getting high level, and another thing that I used when I was integrating, trying to find out whether or not people were getting things from their supplements, is I was using the periodic table of elements as a way to test what people were getting at any one given day. So, sorry, I'm taking a left here, which requires a significant amount of concentration. So, once we started taking care of that, and I was finding that in my own life, because I was buying Vitacost brand, I was buying the Vitamin Shop brand, because they're supposed to be safe, right? They go through all these quality tests. And I was just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I was finding that I was getting stuff every day, like stuff was coming into the body, like mercury or palladium is a really big deal in the vitamin B complex world. So when I started to resolve those issues, clients started getting better. So now what we do is, if you're a client, you send me pictures of your products and we just go through them and we test them really quick. But today, like what I want to do today in this podcast is just basically establish for you, sort of like red pill you, and understand that like the products that you're getting from your chiropractor may be bad. Or the products that you're getting from your DO might be bad. Your self-diagnoses of needing HGH or B complexes or vitamin A or vitamin E, that's fine. You can self-diagnose, but you're getting sourced products that are garbage. And unless you just sort of have your own lab, you're never going to know unless you muscle test it, unless you just, you know. And even with those practitioners that can muscle test, supplements can give you bad answers. Like if you don't know how to discover how you're getting bad answers, which is why it takes 2 years to do the university. Sorry if I sound snippy about it, but I get frustrated because the supplement companies are usually pharmaceutical shadows and they're just garbage. They're just total garbage. But anyway, that's why I'm feel a little snippy about it. But people try and muscle test it and they don't understand how to get the right answer for supplements. And so they'll test it wrong and take the supplement, and then they'll be upset at me. Well, I tested this and it tested good. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but your testing's wrong and this supplement is bad. They stop using it and they stop using it, they start feeling better. Some acute cases of that, like just kind of examples of how that plays out, is I had a client who started having a really, really bad earache out of nowhere. He's a pretty healthy guy normally, and all of a sudden he started getting really crippling earaches. I was testing him. I think he was getting Teflon every day. I can't remember what he was getting. And we nailed it down to those little flossers that you get. There's little things that you get and you just put them in your mouth. Not like the floss, like the long floss that you put on your hand and you floss your teeth, but the little, you know what I'm talking about. And they were giving him, I don't know, Teflon or something. And by the way, if you look at Oral-B products, they acknowledge they have Teflon all in them. That's literally how they slip and slide easily through your mouth and through your teeth, is because they're coated with Teflon. So guess what? If you put that in your mouth and you go back and forth with it, you're going to get Teflon in your mouth. Then the Teflon goes to the occipital lymph nodes in the back of the head. That's where those are, on the occipital lymph nodes, and they'll give you a headache or migraine. Build that up long enough, you get a lot of hormone disruption and nutrient disruption, and then you'll just get sick. There's like chronic headaches, mainly because of oral care products and lip balms and those kind of things. So you got to get those tested. But anyway, we tested them, and he stopped using them and switched over. I think I switched over to Plackers. Those are pretty safe. I use those on a regular basis. They seem safe. And his earache stopped within a couple of days. Something he could not figure out. But it was just because we tested it. We tested something's coming in the body, creating this earache. And then we stopped the product doing that. It was a little detective work. Don't get me wrong. It's tough trying to figure out, how are you getting Teflon? But there's trends, and you can kind of figure it out. And it's not as hard for me these days. I seem to be able to nail it down. Most of the time, it's just supplements. But it was a weird situation where he was getting it from some of his oral care products, which is a major way to get toxins, is through toothpastes, the flossers, the floss, the mouthwash. Those are major ways that most people get major toxins. And you're usually getting Teflon, you're getting aluminum, you're getting cadmium, you're getting fluorine. People will get fluorine, which is different than fluoride, but there seems to be some kind of contamination process in the making of the toothpaste or whatever. So we just test those when you schedule with me. But what people don't know is that these things are literally poisoning them. I worked on a woman 2 days ago who felt like she was being physically poisoned every day. And I tested her, and she was getting mercury. I'm like, you are getting mercury like every day. And not only that, it's quantumly releasing from your lymph system, and your blood. So your lymph system does not even have enough time to grab it. There's so much mercury coming into your body that it is backflowing into the blood, and your body's having to quantumly release it from blood, which anytime you mess with blood, it's just, holy smokes, you're just causing it's majorly risky to have something going into the blood. It was like this trendy new supplement thing she was taking. And I'm not going to name the names here because I don't want to get in trouble. I'm going to give you some names to go towards. I'm going to give you at the end of the podcast here, I'm going to give you some recommendations of what I have found generally, consistently are safe products. But I'm not going to use the podcast to get in trouble. So, but it was a very common, it was like this new thing. I'd never seen it. I'd only seen it once before, but it was in a blue bottle. Is another word for ocean, and she was drinking it every day. It has like this huge line of products, and every single one of the products is completely laced with heavy metals. Supposedly this new reputable brand. It's not. It is just so toxic. I had another woman. Here's another example. I had another woman who, she got hit by something. I don't remember what it was. And in order to deal with it, she was taking a peppermint oil. And the peppermint was a typical brand that you can get like at the drugstore or vitamin shop or something like that. Rhymes with wow. And she was taking it, and it was laced with palladium. And so she got sicker and sicker and sicker. It was either mercury or palladium, I can't remember. Sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. And she could not get well, and she could not figure out why. She called me. Oh my gosh, you're getting mercury or palladium, whatever it was. What's going on? I have no idea. So we racked our brain trying to figure out what it was. And, we finally figured out it was her peppermint oil that she was putting a drop or two on her tongue in the morning, and that was it. And it was trashing her endocrine system, her lymph system. It was trashing all of her systems. Because when you take a heavy metal like that, it's going to disrupt hormones. It'll disrupt hormones and neurotransmitters and throw off those saturation levels in the blood, which means certain tasks can't get done in the body. So you want to digest wheat, but your somatostatin's all jacked up, you're not digesting wheat. So you take peppermint oil that's laced with palladium that disrupts your somatostatin, and all of a sudden, you feel sick when you eat wheat. That's because you don't have the materials you need in the body to process those issues. Process those problem sets, like wheat or dairy, or you start getting headaches, or your stomach starts hurting, or you have, bloated belly or whatever. There's reasons for these things. And most of the time, if you're not layered technology and you're just like a one-off, it's because of the supplements you're taking. And it really stinks because we really believe these people, don't we? We believe that these supplements are good for us. Why would they lie to us? Why? Well, you know why they would lie to you, because it makes money. It's a flash in the pan, right? If you can get a bunch of people on an MLM with a bunch of these products. They say they're good, but they make people sicker. And that's evil. Now, the people selling the, MLM stuff aren't evil necessarily. The guys that are downstream that are trusting the process. But all you have to do is find out who's really making this stuff. Backtrack. Who is really doing this? Is this a pharmaceutical company? Who makes this? Where are these labs from? Who owns these labs? Where are they sourcing their product? Get down the corporate chain a little bit and you'll get some obfuscation. You'll get to where people won't answer your questions. That's weird. Why don't they tell me where they're getting stuff? So that's a whole nother topic. But mainly what you're going to see is the vitamin shop. Typical supplements are terrible. Vitacost brand stuff, terrible. They're just not good quality. And their sourcing can change at any minute because they're going to go for the lowest common denominator, right? In terms of sourcing, they're going to look for the cheapest, sourcing for their products. They're not necessarily interested in getting the top of the line because they want to pass the savings along and be able to sell large amounts of supplements. So they can change their sourcing at any time, not notify the consumer, and then a product will test bad. All of a sudden, it's been testing fine for 6 months, for a year, for however long, and all of a sudden now it tests bad. Well, that's because they changed the sourcing, they changed something in the product, and it changed the way, whether or not it was toxic or not. One ingredient in, 20 ingredients in the back of a bottle can change everything. And there's just not enough, I guess, research done, maybe testing. I don't know. I don't know what it is that is the problem that trickles down to the consumer that makes it so toxic for us, why we can't just get clean supplements consistently, but it's just true. And it's probably I suspect it's a lot like, remember when, this is a while back, it's probably about 7 or 8 years ago, when they recalled a bunch of dog and cat food because it was so toxic that it was killing cats, it was giving them like urinary tract infections or bladder disease or something, I don't remember exactly. And it was like all of these different dog foods and companies that are supposed to be non-related, and all of them were getting recalled. Why? Because they use the same suppliers. And some of them are shadow companies of one another. Yeah, it says organic, but it's really under Nestle. And everybody knows you can't trust Nestle. So, right? So you have these interconnected brands, you don't realize they're connected. They have different labels on the shelf, but they're part of the same company. And they're getting the same sourcing. So if it's just garbage. So let's skip to so anyway, okay, let me just kind of change subjects. So this is the main reason why people relapse. Why they'll start a new supplement. They still feel bad. They're still having headaches. Their symptoms have not moved because their supplements are doing the exact same thing that was also in their body that we got rid of with quantum release. It's doing the same thing. If it's the human DNA disrupting the somatostatin, and then you take a supplement and you're having migraines, for example, and you take a supplement that also disrupts your somatostatin, you're going to have the same symptom groups. You're going to have the same symptoms because it's doing the same thing. And sometimes the supplements are worse. They're so toxic, they're actually putting a heavy metal in your body on a daily basis. And you're having to quantumly release it every day, and your system's trying to come online every day, and it can't come online because you keep slamming it with heavy metals, with toxic substances. So that's a huge, enormous piece of the puzzle. And so people are surprised. They'll call me and they'll be like, my stomach still hurts. I'm still having digestive issues, or I still have this fibromyalgia pain. I'll test them. Oh, you're getting palladium every day. Are you taking a B12? Or are you taking a B complex from Vitacost? Oh yeah. Yeah, let's test that. Make sure it's let's see if it's good or bad. It'll test bad. It'll be the reason they're getting palladium. And they're scratching their heads going, wait a minute. the fibromyalgia has not gone away. I've had fibromyalgia for 3 years. It's not going away. Yeah, well, you keep putting palladium in the body, so it's maintaining those symptoms. Yeah, but I had these symptoms before I met you, before I was taking the B12. Well, right. The human DNA that was in your body from the injectant is what initially was causing the problem. But you have these concurrent situations going on. You have both the human DNA and you're taking a toxic supplement. It's going to maintain those symptoms until you stop doing all of those things. You won't get well until you completely stop taking all of those things because they're contributing to the illness. You just don't know it. You should know it because nobody could parse it out for you. And supplements are supposed to be good, right? You're supposed to be able to trust these brands and be able to take them and you feel better. But you just think there's something else wrong with the body. You're taking these supplements. It's like, why is this going wrong? Well, part of it is because the supplements are interfering with your ability to function. And so people will get confused. They'll be like, well, I still have fibromyalgia. I've had this for 5 years. Yeah, well, you've also been taking B12, this B complex for 6 months too. And it's really trashing your system. You keep taking it. It's going to just keep harming you, just keeps making you sick because it's doing the same thing that the whole reason you're sick, was doing, like the human DNA or the black goo or something like that. And by the way, going back to that example of the woman who had black goo, who got out of bed, basically, we went to 100%. Her first appointment was the quantum release of the black goo. And then the second appointment, she's like, I'm out of bed, but I still have pain. I'm still suffering quite a bit. Okay, let's test all your supplements. Tested all her supplements. She stopped taking the bad supplements, and that's what put her to 100%. And I see this time after time after time after time. And the problem is I've been kind of so busy that I've not been able to kind of red pill people about what it's like to be in their supplement cabinet. It's like being in a heavy metal shop. There's just mercury. I don't see supplements anymore. I see mercury, palladium, arsenic, aluminum, cadmium, lead, tin, vanadium. You think the chemtrails are bad? Open your supplement cabinet. You got the same stuff, except you're ingesting it. It's awful. It's really awful. So, all right. Now that we've established kind of that process, let me steer you towards some supplements that I have found really good consistency. Supplement-wise, you can't go, and beauty product wise and really home cleaning product wise, if you want to go that route with this company, you can't go wrong, and that's Shaklee. That's spelled Shaklee. It is an MLM. I'm actually a distributor, so you can actually use me as a distributor, but I don't sell it. I don't walk around going, oh, and here, you just gave me this money for the work that I did. Now go spend another $300 on supplements. That's not what I do. I think that's slightly problematic. But I will give you a nutrient kind of spectrum, data so that you can kind of get a sense of what you tend to need to have on hand. But in terms of clean, consistent product, you cannot go wrong with Shaklee products. And they're extremely reasonable. When you compare Shaklee products to the other vitamin brands, you just have an extremely reasonable cost analysis for what you're getting. And they have really, really, really good products. Really good products. That's literally what I take every day. I take Vitally for my multivitamin. They have an incredible B complex. They have a sustained release vitamin C, so it's emptied into the system over time instead of dumped in and after an hour and then you lose all of it. Because it's peed out because it's water soluble. They have incredible products. They have cleaning products. They're highly concentrated, extremely safe. It's pretty much all I use in my house. Basic H, basic G. Time tested. I've been a distributor, I think, since in my 20s. I signed up a long time ago. But I never really wanted to make money out of it. I just wasn't interested in making money. I just wanted good products. And they never did me wrong. They are a really, really good company. So in terms of nutrients, supplements, you're going to really win if you just switch everything over to Shaklee. Let's say you don't want to be part of an MLM. That's fine. There's a company that you can use that I found really good, consistent products that you can get at the vitamin store, the vitamin shop, and you can also get off VitaCost, and that's Jarrow brand products. Jarrow. In fact, sometimes if I don't want to wait on a Shaklee delivery, I'll go to the vitamin shop and get Jarrow products if I need something in a pinch for some reason. Which from time to time you do need nutrient infusion. There's things that happen, like say you get injured, say you fall and you hit something. Well, vitamin A and E are critical for healing physical injuries. So sometimes, like I had a friend of mine mess up her neck and her back there, and she's low on A and E. Just go take some A and E, and it'll help the body, fix the physical issue. Sometimes you come in contact with something like a heavy metal, or you get a pathogen or something, and it drops a nutrient like a B complex or a C or calcium or magnesium. It's good to have those things on hand so you can recover quicker. That's really what you want nutrients on hand for, is recovering from events rather than maintaining like wellness. Like you don't want to be in a situation where your body is totally dependent on nutrients in order to get by, which is what Lyme disease folks deal with. Just to function, they had to be on 500 different supplements. And that's what this work hopefully navigates, is gets you out of that deep well of nutrient. You're constantly deficient in nutrients because these pathogens are sucking them out of your system, and get to where you can like have maintenance doses instead of therapeutic doses. So Jarrow products are really good for that. They're clean, they're accessible because you can just go down to the vitamin shop and get them. They're not an MLM. They're probably about the same price as you would get for Shaklee. So in terms of supplements and those kinds of needs where you feel like you need to have those in your life, those two brands are really good. Oils. If you want products that are good for like your personal products and essential oils, stick with two companies, doTERRA and Young Living. And I understand that they're competing companies. So I get that, people are going to be like, oh, but Young Living's better. Oh, but doTERRA's better. All I know is I test both of those brands. I've tested a variety of those brands, a variety of their products, and they have never tested bad a single time. Now, I happen to have known a Young Living distributor, so I use Young Living products. But that's just because that's how I was introduced into the market. But I know other people that use doTERRA products, and I test their products all the time. They're completely safe. Even their supplements and their toothpastes and all those things, I highly recommend them. I don't even have to test thieves. Toothpaste, it's fine. It tests fine. You're going to be safe for toothpaste. And remember, toothpaste are a main toxic entry point for people. Don't use the greenwash products like Burt's Bees and Tom's, those kinds of things. I know I'm now dropping a couple of names, but I know all of y'all out there have got some Tom's and Burt's Bees, and I'm telling you they're a greenwash product now. They're not like they used to be. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I can test your products individually, but I'm going to give you bad news because they don't test like they used to. They used to test okay and be clean products, and I used to use them. But then they got bought out, they got sold, and now they're just greenwashed. So their ingredients are not the same. All right, so let's go back to the oils. Don't buy oils from Walmart. Don't buy oils from the health food store. I'm telling you, they are contaminated. A lot of them are contaminated. It's really hit and miss with a lot of those products. If you get the good, reputable doTERRA and Young Living products, not only are you not going to have to backtrack and get well because you've contaminated yourself with heavy metals, but they'll actually help you. They're actually therapeutic. They're very, very good products. So that's where the oils come in. There's a couple of other product lines that are good. Standard Process is a very reputable line. You're going to win when you use Standard Process. So you got Shaklee, you got Jarrow, you've got doTERRA, you've got Young Living, you've got Standard Process. Those are all lines that you're just gonna, if you can't find anything from those lines, you're tough to work with, because of those 5 lines, you should find something that you want, that you need, whether it be personal products, toothpaste, deodorants, those kinds of things. And that's another thing, deodorants and toothpaste. Toothpaste and deodorants, the 2 main ways to get toxins. I don't use regular deodorants from the store. I use a company called Nutritive Body Care. And I use their toothpaste. Their toothpaste is a mineral-based toothpaste. It's like a wet toothpaste. It's actually really good. It comes in glass jars, so you don't have to worry about plastic contamination, because a lot of these toothpaste, what happens is they'll have essential oils in these toothpaste, these greenwash toothpaste, and the essential oils will break down the inside lining of the toothpaste tube. So you'll get heavy metals that way, and you'll get Teflon that way. And they're not taking care and realizing that these peppermint oils and spearmint oils that they might have actually sourced reputably are breaking down the inside lining of the toothpaste tubes. I'm looking at you, Toms. I'm looking at you, Burt's Bees. And they'll break down those tubes, and you get toxins that way. So, and Jason's is another one that does that, where it's all greenwashed. So you have to be careful with those products. So I just use Nutritive Body Care toothpaste, and I use their deodorant. But also, we also use Dr. Bronner's toothpastes. Dr. Bronner's products are really clean too. So you've got some soaps there. You've got some toothpastes that you can use with Dr. Bronner's. My kids won't use the Nutritive Care. They don't like it. And it's like mutiny on the ship when I'm telling them to use it. So we switched over to Dr. Bronner's, and they're happy with that, and they don't get garbage in their body. So, you know, the deodorants and the toothpaste are a major piece of the puzzle too. But if you just switch everything over to these brands, you can find affordable soaps and shower care with Dr. Bronner's. Those products are really affordable for what you're getting. Shaklee's going to be a little bit more expensive. Jarrow's going to be kind of mid-range in terms of price. Standard Process is going to be a little bit more expensive depending on what you're looking for to get out of them. So those are some brands that, and with doTERRA and Young Living, you are getting what you pay for. With those oils, you get what you pay for. The reason why the essential oils from Walmart didn't work for you is because you got those essential oils from Walmart. Really sorry. But that's just kind of and all the essential oil people are going, yes, yes, preach it, that's true, truth. So those are the main brands to switch over to. And if you watch this podcast before your appointment, take pictures of all your products, and I'll be glad to test all of them. And we'll just go through them really quick. As long as I don't want to do 20 products one at a time on the call. That takes forever. If you line them up, take pictures of them, send them to me. That's the best way to do it. And then just tell me, I sent you pictures. Oh, okay, let me know. And I'll just look them up, and we'll just go through them real quick. It takes 5 minutes, hardly any time. As long as you've touched those products, you've had them. You don't have to have taken them, but you have to have touched them. So this is a major reason for relapse. It is one of the most frustrating things that I come across, because people just have this block about their supplements and go, but these are supplements. They're supposed to be safe. I get them from fill in the blank, doctor, chiropractor, DO, whatever. And it sucks. It sucks that's not the case. But time-tested brands are the ones that I've mentioned, and they are really reputable. And if they go bad, like if Jarrow changes its distribution and its sourcing and stuff, I'll let people know. I'll mention it. But for now, they're really reputable. They're really good. In fact, my husband went to a chiropractor appointment. The chiropractor recommended a probiotic. I tested him against probiotics, and the body's like, yep, body needs it. I didn't want to wait for a Shaklee order, so I went down to the vitamin shop and I looked for the Jarrow acidophilus or whatever probiotic, multi-billion trillion strand or whatever, and I tested a bunch of brands that were right there in the Vitacost shop, and about 80% of them, 90% of them were bad. And so I just checked the one in the fridge were from Jarrow, and I checked the one on the shelf from Jarrow, and the one in the fridge tested better. So I just grabbed that. It was pretty pricey, but you're getting what you pay for. So that's the scoop on supplements and how they contribute to your getting well or getting sick. I'm telling you, I've worked with people where their supplements are literally killing them. They actually get worse. I've had people that will get an improvement after about 1 or 2 days from their first scan, and then they'll tank and they'll actually get worse. And it's because their supplements are giving them worse things than the things that got quantumly released out of the body. It's pretty awful. But that's the world we live in. And thank goodness that we can discover this, that we can know, that we can find out. So I know this is a really long broadcast, but I wanted to be really thorough, and I wanted to give you some answers at the end of the podcast so you would know what to get and how to get them and what you're looking at for different brands. A lot of you guys are going into your bathroom right now going, oh man, I got to get rid of this toothpaste. Yep. You're going to have to brush your teeth with your toothbrush and by the way, toothbrushes can test bad too. Speaking of, like Oral-B toothbrushes, because even if you're using a clean toothpaste, by the way, even if you're using a clean toothpaste, let's say you got Dr. Bronner's or Nutritive Care or whatever, Young Living or something that you're using, and you brush your teeth and the plastic, there's Teflon, like for Oral-B products, there's Teflon on the toothbrush. It will break that Teflon down. The oils will break the Teflon down, and you'll start coating your teeth with Teflon every day, and it'll give you migraines and headaches. So switch over. Like I use Reach toothbrushes, and I've not ever had a problem with Reach toothbrushes. I've had a problem with Colgate. I've had a problem with, what's the other one? I just said Oral-B. But Reach seems to treat me good. They seem to be okay. So I'm glad we had this little talk, aren't you? It's really hard, isn't it? It's really frustrating. Layered technology people, there's just a different group of people in terms of symptom groups, and they suffer too from, stuff that comes into the body, supplements and stuff. But the one-offs, the folks that just have one or two things, or like, for example, you just had smart dust. That's not just, you had smart dust that made you sick, but then you grabbed your B12 because you want to have more energy, you want to sleep better, you're taking melatonin to sleep better at night or whatever. It has toxins in it. And most of the brands I talk about will have a spectrum of something that you could use. And most people, my clients, my older clients that have been working with me for a couple years, they know better. They don't do anything until they get it tested. Because they're like, we're not stupid. We've done this before. Like, we were born at night, but we weren't born last night. So they know better. They know to get things tested really quick. And it only takes about 5 or 10 minutes. So, all right. I hope that's helped. Please let that encourage you. I want you guys to be able to take nutrients and supplements that you can actually absorb, that are actually beneficial to your body, so you can see some results. And I think I've given you enough variety here today. Safe lines, safe products that will give you a leg up, really help you. And you can get actual results from what you're taking. In fact, I know someone who uses clean products in her process of getting well, and she recovers so quickly from things that she gets hit with. She'll get hit with something, because we all get hit with stuff from time to time. But then she'll integrate products that she knows will help her, and she gets better faster. There's nothing wrong with taking supplements. I'm not the only, game in town. Supplements can actually help you get well. That's why I use to recover. But you have to be taking the right ones. You have to be taking clean ones, or you'll just dig your grave faster. All right. I've beat that horse, right? It's dead, right? All right. If you guys want to schedule an appointment with me, I'm not taking appointments until next year. I'm having a really hard time managing the schedule that I have. So please be patient. I apologize. In the new year, I'll be taking first client appointments again. And hopefully I'll have some new information on my website about how to do that. Please check out my other YouTube videos. If you're interested in the layered technology piece, check out the Building the Matrix series. It's a 3-part series. I think you'll find that interesting. Please be patient. Thank you so much for being patient. Thank you for praying for this work. I know that there are people out there that are making targeted prayers specifically for this work and my protection and the protection of my clients. And it is absolutely beneficial to this work. It's really, really helpful. So I just want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching my YouTube videos. Please subscribe. And maybe one day this will be monetized. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it monetized long enough just so YouTube can demonetize it, because I say the V word, the other word that I use instead of, that's an injectant word. Or maybe you just won't like it just because it's mean and evil. And maybe it'll also decrease my subscriber count as soon as you subscribe. But keep checking back on the channel, subscribe. It helps me know that there are people out there listening, helps me know what kind of broad base we're reporting or we're talking to and who's listening. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope that's helpful, and we will see you on the next broadcast. Bye-bye.